Welcome to today's edition of 3 Minute Halacha. Can you make and throw a snowball on Shabbos? It's not a new question. In fact, one of the earliest responses goes back to the late 1700s and was written by the Chavot Yair, Harav Yair Bachrach, who said that we should not be throwing snowballs on Shabbos. But what are the issues? The very first one is whether or not there's an Eruv. If there's no Eruv, there's no question, because you can't collect the snow outside and you definitely can't throw it. But what happens if there is an Eruv? The next question comes as to whether or not snow is muktzah. The vast majority of poskim feel it isn't, but Rav Moshe Feinstein held that snow is indeed considered muktzah, which would prohibit making a snowball according to Rav Moshe. However, Rav Moshe and the Masoret Moshe is reported to have taught that if one gathered the snow before Shabbos and set it aside for a snowball fight, snowballs would be permitted. On the other hand, many other authorities maintain that even though snow is not muktzah, nevertheless, to make a snowball violates the prohibition of bona, of building. Rav Moshe, the Debretziner Rav, and the Nishmat Shabbos disagree, saying that bona only applies when you're doing something that's going to be permanent in nature. A snowball, you build it, and then you throw it and it falls apart. It's not bona. Interestingly, according to them, though, making a snowman on Shabbos would definitely be prohibited because it's supposed to be around for a few days. Another possible problem with making snowballs is Risuk, which is mashing or crushing, related to the malacha of schita, of squeezing. The Shulchan Aruch or Chaim in Reish Chaf, Sif Yud Aleph, teaches that when you're washing your hands in cold, icy water, you have to be careful not to rub your hands together with the ice because it may crush it, causing it to melt a little bit and violating the prohibition of Risuk. This would seem to happen when you're making a snowball. But Reb Moshe and the Nishmat Shabbos disagree. They say that any small amount of water that may come out is inconsequential and would not prohibit fashioning the snowball on Shabbos. There are, of course, other possible prohibitions when you make a snowball, including ma'amer, which means to gather, when you gather the snow; uvdin dechol, it's a weekday kind of activity, inappropriate for Shabbos; and soter, which is destroying, because when you make the snowball and throw it, it hits its target, and consequently, it falls apart. In the final analysis, making and throwing snowballs are prohibited on Shabbos. However, there are poskim, such as the Debretziner Rav, in volume 6, Tshuva 30, the Nishmat Shabbos, volume 4, Tshuva 249, and even the late Reb David Feinstein, who gave dispensation for young children to make and throw snowballs on Shabbos, not to say anything to them if they were doing it. But it's definitely not one of those things that should be the highlight of our Shabbos, nor is it considered something that is Shabbostic.